Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Everything Happens for a Reason podcast. So, we're back for another solo episode today, and on today's episode, what I wanted to actually talk about is leveling up your life in general, like how to become the best, the most confident version of yourself, and actually become the person that you want to be. Because I know in the past that I would have looked up to people and thought, this is the life that I want to be living. Like, I want to do what they're doing. How are they doing it? And almost not knowing where to start. But you always have to look within, girls, and that's one thing that I'm really going to highlight in today's episode is you have to look within whenever it comes to growth. If you want to become somebody, you have to show up as that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, one thing I always speak about is, for example, if you want to become a gym girl, how do you actually become a gym girl? And that's simply going to come down from showing up in the same version or showing up as the person that you want to become. So in this instance, showing up as a gym girl, what does she do? What does her day-to-day routine look like? What's her hobbies? What does she enjoy? What does she not enjoy? Do you know what I mean? Like, what time does she wake up? When does she go to bed? How does she spend her free time? You have to look at all of those aspects, and the gym girl is just an example because obviously, as you all know, I specialize in health and fitness, so it's one that comes up for me a lot. But this can be anything. If you're looking up at somebody that's traveling and you want to do that too, but you don't know where to start, you start by looking at what that person's day-to-day routine would look like and how can you basically become that and how you can implement that into your actual lifestyle. If you're looking at somebody that's running their own business and you've always thought you wanted to run your own business but you don't know where to start, you have to start somewhere. Do your research. What do you have to do on a day-to-day basis? How do you get better? What is the first step for you starting your own business? You have to almost have that plan in place in order to become that person. So that's what today's episode is all about, and I'm going to go into detail essentially about like 5 things that I recommend that you do, or 5 tips that you should implement essentially to become the person that you want to become. And the first thing I'm going to say is your environment is everything, girls. Who you surround yourself with is exactly who you're going to be, and it's exactly who you're going to become and who you will stay. When it comes to your environment, the people you surround yourself with, you've all heard the term, if you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, if that's your 5 friends around you, you will be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 losers, you will also be a loser. You will be part of the same gang, because those people aren't going to motivate you. They're not going to drive you. They are not going to want the best for you. And you need to remember that. If you see a vision that's bigger for yourself compared to those people that are around you, let's say you want to work on your fitness, you want to become healthier, you want to become better, you want to start your own business, but you're surrounding yourself with people who do nothing but party every weekend, drink every weekend, go to a job that doesn't bring them any pleasure or satisfaction. They're just living through the week, like making money essentially in a job that they're not happy in, just to spend it at the weekend on alcohol, and they have no real purpose in life. You will also be stuck there, because that's the influence, that's the energy that's going to be drawn upon you, and you might not want to be in that situation. And that's not to say you are going to be, do you know what I mean? But if you surround yourself with people that are looking to do the same thing as you, if you surround yourself with people that are driving you, motivating you, that want the best for you, you will have a much higher success rate at actually getting there. And I can definitely vouch for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the past, I would have fell in with the wrong people that had a negative influence on me. I couldn't be authentic around, I couldn't be myself around, and I would have, like, in my opinion, I would have got to a stage in my life, like say where I'm at now, a lot faster if I cut those people off sooner. Not a chance would I have moved to Dubai on my own a couple of years back because of the people who were around me, because they wouldn't see a life outside of that. Do you know what I mean? They were settled, and that's okay. That is not me judging and saying like, oh, everybody needs to move away. That's not me saying that at all. What I'm saying is I always knew I wanted to travel. I always wanted to, or I knew I always wanted to move away from the UK, but the people I was surrounding myself with weren't going to make that happen, and I would have been influenced by their opinions as well. So that's going to be the number one thing. Cut off people that bring no value and bring no purpose to your life. If they don't serve you in a way like where they're loyal to you, where they motivate you and encourage you to become the best version of yourself, they hold no place in your life. You know, it's okay to have friends, it's okay to have associates, but make sure your inner circle has the same goals, has the same drive, has the same motives as you. That is going to be so, so important, and it's going to be the biggest stepping stone for you. And when I say that, I know it's not easy. You can't just go and cut people off that you've maybe been friends with your whole life. That's okay, but find new people who have the same motivations as you. Surround yourself, have those conversations, because those conversations are going to hit different compared to what you're used to and what you're comfortable with. So yeah, number one thing, and I always vouch by this, like I said, your environment is key. If you want to be successful in whatever is your driving factor, surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing or wanting to do the same thing, because you're going to have the same conversations, you're going to be able to give each other advice, and you will be able to learn from those people. If you're surrounding yourself with people that don't bring you any value and that you don't have that mutual respect with when it comes to your own goals, you're going to get nowhere. They are going to be like a brick wall that you can't seem to push out of the way to get to where you want to be. Now, that would be definitely the first thing that I would say in terms of like, if you want to level up, you have to cut off any toxicity, anything that's dragging you down, and that will definitely be the first stepping stone for all of you. And I can rest assure you of that, because the energy that you're going to have around you, the people that you're going to attract, is going to be completely different, because you're going to be a higher, more elevated version of yourself as well. The second thing that I would say is, make sure that everything you're doing in your life is fulfilling. Make sure that you're doing everything from passion and with purpose. So one thing that would definitely corresponds to this one would be your career. Are you actually happy in the field that you're in? Are you showing up to work every day excited, motivated, wanting to do better, wanting to push yourself? Are you driven by passion, or are you just showing up to get the wage at the end of the month or at the end of the week? Because there's a massive difference through that. Your work takes up like 80% of your adulthood. Do you know what I mean? It takes up such a large chunk of our lives. Once we come out of school, you want to be in a field that actually excites you. It's something you're passionate about and you look forward to every day. Of course, work is always going to be stressful at certain times, you know, and sometimes you're going to want to throw the towel in. Maybe if you're running your own business, like I always said this, I love my own business and I am truly driven by passion when it comes to my business. That's where it stemmed from. Some days, do I want to give it up completely? Absolutely. But that's only natural. You know, that's normal. You're always going to have bumps and humps in the road that you have to get over, essentially. And that's okay. But still, every single day, I know that any problem that arises, I want to work through that problem. I want to like fix that in my business, because I know that I love what I do. And if at the minute you are stuck, or you feel like you are stuck in a job that you're not happy in, that's toxic, the environment's toxic, it's not something you're passionate about, you're going into the office, or if it's an office job, but you're showing up every day and you're not happy, you are not stuck. You're not stuck there forever. Yes, at the minute, you might have that financial stability there, 100%, and stick to that. I will never ever say walk away from that. But let's say you are super passionate about something and you know that you can monetize that, monetize it. Monetize it alongside your current job. Get to a point where you're able to grow your business or grow your brand or whatever it is that you're looking to grow, but do it alongside your current job. Get to a position where you're comfortable to leave and actually do something that you're passionate about. And that takes time. Too many people want a quick fix. They come up with an idea, I'm going to start a clothing brand. And they're like, okay, what do I have to do? I'm going to start this. And then it crashes because you jumped into it too fast and you took a massive risk in terms of that. And I'm all for taking risks. Always take a risk if it's going to elevate or improve on the quality of your life. But don't take a risk from stupidity. Do you know what I mean? If you have a whole family to look after, a mortgage to pay and everything else, don't leave your stable job until you're stable in whatever it is that's going to be your driving factor. But just remember, like I said, 80% of our adulthood is consumed by our careers. Make sure it's one that's satisfying, that's fulfilling, and it's something that you're passionate about and that you enjoy showing up for. Because otherwise it's going to take up such a massive chunk of your life, such a massive chunk of your mental health as well, and your mindset. You're going to fall into a negative trap of feeling that like you have no purpose going into every single day. And we should always have purpose. As humans, we need purpose to drive us forward, and that's how we show up as the best version of ourselves. And now, in saying that, this is not me saying go quit your job. I'm saying do something that is driven by passion more so than anything else. You know, if you at the minute love your job, of course, like I said, certain days are going to be stressful and that's okay. But if you love what you do, stay in it. Like you're already there. Do you know what I mean? But keep showing up for yourself and keep wanting more and keep driving yourself onwards. Another thing that I definitely want to talk about is routine. Find your routine. I feel like so many people are lost in their structure because they have no routine on a day to day. And look, I'm not a believer of in order to be successful, you have to be up at 5 a.m., go for a run, go to a gym, get your workouts all done, and then graft your ass off when it comes to work for the rest of the day and, you know, go hard or go home kind of mindset. I personally don't believe in that. Do you have to show up for yourself every single day? 100%. Do you have to wake up at 5 a.m.? No, you don't. Like, I always talk about like being realistic to your lifestyle. Like, for example, myself, I know me as a person and I am so much more productive in the mornings. I always have been. So like waking up earlier for me and maybe getting like the workout out of the way and that side of things has always worked well for me, and it sets me up for the rest of the day. So it's the productivity aspect that I aspire from or that motivates me, you know. But for example, my business is mainly UK based. Most of my clientele is UK based, which means I have to work around a UK time zone. So for example, since I've moved here, obviously there's with the UK at the minute there's a 4 hour difference, which means that my business, my work actually runs on a lot later into the night. Like there's nights I'm working till 1 a.m. because I'm taking phone calls with clients that are based in the UK. So obviously my 5 a.m. starts had to stop. Like I can't go to bed at 1, 2, sometimes later in the morning and wake up at 5 because I'm not prioritizing my health. I'm not prioritizing myself in that instance. So that something had to give. So now I sleep in later, but my still morning routine is still the same, but I just stay up later into the day. So my productivity window is still the exact same. My day just starts later and finishes later, you know. And if I go back to the UK, I'm going to flip it the other way around again because it worked for me in the UK from that perspective. So the only reason I had to change my routine is because of work. And that's completely fine, you know, I'm more than okay with that. And one thing that just mentioning in terms of routine, like don't let your routine that you have at the minute control you. You are in control of your day to day. You're in control of your structure and your day to day, like in terms of your routine. You are the one that's actually in control, not vice versa. So when something pops up, you're in control what time you choose to wake up. You're in control, like if you have the same working hours every day, you know when you're working, you know when you have your lunch, you know when you can fit the gym into your day and that sort of thing. You have full power and control over that. Of course, things pop up every now and again, and that's completely fine. You know, your routine's gonna get thrown off, but you are still the one that's in control. So like one thing I see a lot is like, say people go traveling for a couple of weeks, but they want to stay, you know, in their sort of like consistent routine. They expect to be in the exact same routine that they were at home. That's not going to happen. You build your routine, you adapt your routine based off what your day-to-day situation looks like. So you might have like one routine Monday to Friday, but Saturday and Sunday is going to be different. Do you know what I mean? You might have a different routine depending on the school runs you have to do compared to the weekends as well. Like you need to adapt to your routine in terms of that, and you can change it as you need to, but I can promise you that you can fit everything into your day. Always, you can always fit it into your day, but you just have to step into it with that productive mindset, being proactive and knowing what actually needs to be done going into every single day, which is super important, you know. But I went on a little bit of a tangent there, so I apologize. But what I was saying in terms of routine, like if you want to be successful in any means, if you want to be like the best version of yourself, you need to have routine. You need to know what you're doing with your day to day, and you need to show up to your day to day with purpose. If you're waking up every day and going like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do today, I might go here, I might go there, I need to do this for work, but I don't know when I'll do it, you're not gonna get anything done. You're literally not going to get anything done because your productivity is going to be shit and you're moping around and you're starting the day with a negative attitude. Whereas if you step into every day and you're like, okay, I wake up at 7 a.m. I have to be at work for 9. The morning time suits me better to work out. Okay, that's the first thing I do at my every single day. Then I go to work. I come home from work. I don't have time to cook every single night. So I'm going to take Sunday night, for example, and meal prep my dinners for the next 3 days. That's me organized from Monday through to Wednesday. And I'll repeat the same on Wednesday. When you actually put a plan of action in place and you stick to that plan, like you're invincible in terms of that. One thing I always say is like, if you fail to prepare to fail. And that works in everything. It's not just in terms of, meal prepping your meals to be in your calorie deficit. It's not about that. It's in terms of everything. If you want to go to the gym, you need to prep or plan when that's going to suit you, when it's going to fit in around your own schedule. You need to be in charge of all of that. Do you know what I mean? If you want to like become better in your job, if you want a promotion and you have to study something for that, you have to schedule that time in. You have to prioritize that and know exactly when you're going to do that and what sort of work blocks, what your work blocks are going to look like. You have to look after that side of things because you're the only person that's in control. So really, really do make sure that you have your day to day broken down, especially if you want to do better. Go into every single day with drive, go into every single day with purpose if you actually want to achieve anything. Because if you're waking up every day with no purpose, not knowing what to do with yourself that day, all you're going to do is waste time. You're going to end up scrolling half the day, moping around, you're going to be sleeping in longer than you need to, your energy is going to be shit, and you're going to feel so like low in yourself and so unmotivated because you're simply not giving yourself a purpose. There's always a reason for you to show up every single day for yourself. Some days we have worse days than others, and that's completely okay, but you still need to show up for yourself. And that's the one thing I really want you to take away from that point. Moving on to number 4, and with this I would say expand your knowledge. No matter what situation you're in, if you want to level up in your life, you need to keep learning. Do you know what I mean? People get too comfortable, and that's one thing I always speak about. If you're comfortable, it means you're not pushing yourself. It means that you're so comfortable in being in the situation that you're in, which you might not necessarily be happy about because you're not willing to push yourself any further. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, in my career, I'm a coach. I am a highly educated coach. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had lots of experience. I've worked with thousands of women at this rate. I have done all my courses. I am still constantly learning as I go, and that's only in terms of my career. I read every single night. Before I go to bed, I block 30 minutes out into my evening, put my phone away, phone on D&D, and I literally just sit in bed and I read. That is going to expand your knowledge on so many aspects. Like, and I will take something away from each and every book that I read, fiction or non-fiction. I'll always take something away that I can use, for giving advice to people, or giving advice to the girls that I coach, giving advice to my friends. I will always take something away from that. That's also going to let me grow as a person. If you're not constantly willing to learn and willing to like expand your own knowledge on different topics and like even look at different point of views, you're going to be so close-minded and you're just going to be stuck there. Do you know what I mean? You're never going to overcome that. And that's not me saying you have to read books or anything like that. All I'm saying is, whatever it is that you're passionate about, do your research. Whatever it is that you enjoy, do more research. Keep learning, keep excelling in that, because there's only one way that you will actually become better when it comes to that. That's quite a basic one, I suppose, with that side of things, but it definitely is one that I would have undervalued beforehand. Like, I would have done no research on anything. I just sort of would have went in and winged it and learned as you go, which is still extremely effective. I still learn so much as I go, and I make mistakes and I learn from those mistakes. But actually, like, learning more about different topics and looking at other people's opinions, you can actually take a lot away from that, which will make you become a better person in every aspect. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to level up as people. No gossip and bullshit, no talking, nonsense, no wasting your day to day and then complaining about how unhappy you are. We want to show up as the best versions of ourselves, surrounded by people that you don't have to worry if they're talking about you or not, that actually motivate you and drive you to be better every single day. That's what you want your circle to look like, and that's the person that you want to be as well. And unless you are showing up as that person, you're definitely not going to attract that. And the final point that I want to make is, which is point number 5, is work on yourself. And I feel like all the 4 points that I've mentioned prior to leading up to this, they sort of give that sort of idea. But if you want to be better, you need to do better. And that's that, and let's leave it at that. If you want to become the best version of yourself, if you want to excel in something, if you want to actually be happy and content in your life, like I said in the first point, you have to show up as that version of yourself. But you will more than likely need to work on yourself in order to do that. And that's okay. Do you know what I mean? We all have something to work on, and like there's so much that comes from that. So like I always talk on this podcast about myself and sort of like the difference in myself from say even at this stage last year to now. The only reason that I'm so much more content, the only reason that I finally had the balls to pack my bags and move myself across the world on my own, the only reason that I had like the audacity essentially to do that is because I spent the last year prioritizing that. I spent the last year working on myself, working on showing up as a better, more confident version of myself. You know, wasn't wasting my time every single weekend going out and sort of like ignoring everything that I wasn't happy about. I worked like frig, don't want to curse on this, but I worked so much on my business and to get my business to a point where, you know, I can feel comfortable moving across the world and knowing that my salary is still going to be in a good and comfortable position. Like, and that did take a lot of effort. It took a lot of saying no to people. It took a lot of like having boundaries with myself as well as with other people and not falling into cycles that I didn't want to fall into. And that was really, really hard. And I'm not gonna make it sound like, oh, you know, it was an absolute ball. No, it wasn't. Like it definitely wasn't. That was really, really hard. And, you know, having I'm still young as well. Do you know what I mean? I only turned 25, and having to turn down so much, like what I see people do in my age around me, where they are like having the best time of their lives and they're constantly going out and drinking and having fun, posting stories and whatever else. Yeah, I had to say no to majority of that. Yes, of course, I traveled a wee bit and I did whatever else, but I also spent a lot of that time on my own, a lot of that time focusing on my business and how I can actually grow my brand. Like me over summer, if any of you know me and what was going on in terms from a business perspective over summer, like I decided to have a complete rebrand. I just had a mental beat in terms of work, rebranded everything, restarted everything, started a fresh shop, literally started from scratch again back in July, and it was the most stressful time of my life. I had my friends helping me, I had everybody around me trying to like help me in regards to make this transition, and I had to do it within a 30-day period because I was on a deadline. And honestly, like it was the most stressful thing ever, but I kept my head down. I didn't go out that month. I didn't even do anything at the weekends. All of my weekends, Saturday and Sunday, were spent in Costa, in my hometown, literally just working on my business. And same was Monday to Friday. Like I was working till 9-10 p.m. every single night because I had so much extra to do compared to usual to make this transition happen. Sorry. And yeah, it was honestly, if I look back, I'm like, I don't even know how I did it, but moral of the story is I did it because I knew what I wanted from the back end of it, and I succeeded in that because I showed up as that. So yes, sacrifices will have to be made, and you have to show up as the person that you want to be and put your head down. You know, yeah, it was super stressful, and of course I was complaining a wee bit that I was tired and I was stressed out and everything else, but at the same time I knew where the vision was going. I knew that my purpose, I knew my reason for doing this rebrand and what I wanted the Glute Girl to become. The Glute Girl's my brand, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know. I knew what I wanted the Glute Girl to become, and that's exactly what happened. Like now the whole rebrand has happened. My whole coaching business is completely different. We have a whole team on board now. Me last year couldn't even have imagined that happening. And the reason that I'm in this position is because I research leadership. I research what it's like to have a team on board and not have to do everything by myself. I took the risk with that as well. Do you know what I mean? But I learned so much and I spent so much time like working on myself, listening to podcasts, educating myself, reading books, you know, taking time off just to literally spend that time on my own. Like I said in my previous episodes, like even with traveling, I left the country on my own. I traveled on my own, literally went for weekends away on my own just to have that headspace there to think, because I knew that's what I needed. I knew that like me last year would have been afraid to be on my own, or a couple of years ago I literally would have been afraid to go to a coffee shop on my own. So I knew that's something I needed to work on. Now I love my own company. You know, I love my own company too much in that sense. So it's all a stepping stone. Once you sort of like establish what you need to work on and something that you're not happy with, like I knew it wasn't normal for me to be afraid to be on my own, or have to be surrounded by people, or feel the need to be surrounded by people that didn't actually bring purpose or value into my life and that I didn't want around. but I would have just stayed in certain situations just because I felt comfortable there. That's what I knew I needed to work on, so I did. And don't get me wrong, I still have so much to do. I still have so much inner work to do, but I'm constantly doing that. I'm still super focused, and at times I do drift off, and that's completely okay. Not every single day is going to be perfect, and you're going to lose your focus and sort of like lose that passion every now and again, and that's okay. But as long as you find it again and you start and you put your head down and you continue focusing on it, you will honestly be a completely different version of yourself come this time next year. And I can promise you that the amount of growth, the amount of change that can happen in a year is insane. Like, if you start putting in the work now, if you start looking after yourself now, you will literally be an unrecognizable version of yourself this time next year. And I promise you that, girls. So I hope this podcast helped, and I hope you took some value and purpose away from it, because that is the whole point of it. And yeah, girls, of course, any feedback is always appreciated. And yeah, I will see you all next Wednesday.